Yo, what's up, y'all? It's Treasure Necole, your favorite Scorpio. And listen, I know I always tell you guys that we have a special guest in the building, right? Well, we're not even in our building. We're at the Coda Room audio studio with who I believe is a legend, even though I just heard about him like 2 days ago. I read so many great things about him, Mr. James Auwarter, a.k.a. Studio James. How you doing, James?
I am doing quite well. Thank you, Treasure.
Yes. Now, first of all, I'm in here and I see Ludacris posters, Rihanna posters, so I know I'm in a special room. So just tell the people all that you do.
I'm primarily an engineer. I produce sometimes as well. I'm a studio owner. For these gold and platinum plaques that you're referring to, mostly I engineer those, whether recorded or mixed or some variation of that.
Now, he is probably one of the most humble guys I know, right? Because he has these gray socks on. But what you guys don't know is his feet smell good because I don't smell nothing, right? But guess what? You got 32 Grammy nominations. So what kind of experiences did you have to even get to that point where the highest caliber of what we consider in the music industry has recognized you so many times?
Well, I've been credited on 32 Grammy nominations, so it's a slight distinction, but nonetheless, yes, I've been quite lucky, it's basically just hard work meets opportunity, right? That's what luck is. Started out as a musician, and then went to an audio school, and moved to Chicago, did the internship thing, moved up through the ranks, worked hard, and eventually caught some breaks, and started working with some clients who did exceptionally well, and I get to ride coattails at that point.
And then I know that you just came back to Chicago, and it's been 2 years. So what brought you back to the Chi-Town? And most importantly, what brought you here with Urban Grind?
I live in London now, primarily, after being in Chicago for 15, 16 years. This is my studio, as you mentioned, Coda Room Audio. I got a couple of my colleagues here who run the day-to-day stuff. It's right around Christmas, so I'm here to see family again, and ideally, pre-pandemic, the plan was to kind of split time between Chicago and London. Obviously, the pandemic didn't allow for much travel. So, the idea is I'll be back more often than once every 2 years.
We hope so, because every time you come back, we want you to come visit Urban Grind, right? Because we are a family of up-and-coming expertise ourselves in our own field. There we go. Now, I did read a special quote from you, and I think it was during my research, and you were saying something about overextending yourself affects the mixes. So talk about that, because I know a lot of people in the music industry, they kind of stretch themselves too thin. So explain what that means.
Yeah, stay in your lane kind of scenario, right? It's know what your strengths are, know what your weaknesses are. Outsource when necessary. Don't overpromise and underdeliver. Those are the ideas, and if you're humble and you're hardworking, you have a little bit of talent. Eventually you're going to catch on, and clients are going to want to keep coming back to you. When I say don't overextend yourself, it means don't promise that you can do a metal mix if you're a hip hop engineer, or vice versa. You may be able to, but and some people are, absolutely, and some people really want to do that. Some people don't, but they get blinded by the immediate paycheck scenario of it, and what that's going to do is it's going to it's going to start to ruin their name, and they're going to lose business, and it's something that a lot of people don't think about until it's too late.
And I know you just said just about the variety of maybe a hip-hop mixer trying to do a heavy metal mix, and there's a difference. But lucky for you, you do all kinds of genres, right? Because I seen you have your expertise even in the gospel realm, which I was very surprised about. And you even won a Grammy with the Clark sisters, who in the gospel realm are super famous. I know I'm a pastor's kid, so we got to listen to the Clark sisters. Like if we consider ourselves singers, so what is the difference between mixing a gospel record as opposed to even what you were telling us when we were coming in, a Chinese hip hop record?
Yeah, I mean they're quite different. I mean, obviously with any kind of hip hop scenario, it's all about the low end and the bass and the kick and making something knock and feel right. Versus gospel, it's a lot more nuanced. Yeah, you still need those elements to a certain extent, but you know, if it's a Clark sisters record, the choir's got to be front and center. Right, so you got to really understand what the genre calls for. If it's a metal thing, the guitar's got to be kind of front and center. And so like one of the biggest kind of giveaways of if a hip hop guy who mainly only does hip hop mixed or produced something outside of his comfort zone is if the low end is just crazy, you know, and that's the big giveaway, because obviously that's a good thing in hip hop, but it's not a good thing in heavy metal or most rock stuff, because all that low end gets in the way of the guitars or, you know, whatever kind of vocal scenario that's happening there. And most good engineers and producers, if they're honest with themselves and they've done this long enough, they understand that it's not rocket science. But unfortunately, a lot of the younger guys, a lot of guys who haven't had a lot of experience, you know, they're biting off too much and they're missing the mark, I think.
And then I know, just piggybacking off of like the difference between the genres, you actually were a guitarist in a rock band. Now, is that still going on? Are you okay? But are you still playing the guitar? Does that help you when you do like mix certain things, kind of trying to find a tune? Or
Yeah, so like the very first day of lockdown in London, or the day that they announced, the day that Boris Johnson announced the big lockdown. So that was March or something of 2020. That day, I went and bought a guitar for the first. And you know, I didn't bring one to London with me. I have a couple here at the studio, but I didn't bring any with me. And I knew I was gonna have a lot of free time at the house, kind of thing. So I've been doodling around way more in the past year than I have in the last 10 years, and I'm still not good. Basically, I was in a rock band. I did take it relatively seriously for a while until I found engineering, and that's when I realized that was my calling. That's what I can actually be excellent at. And as a guitar player, I'm never going to be more than mediocre, and so that kind of scared me away from that scenario. Like all of a sudden I'm working with session musicians that do this, you know, passionately every single day. They live for this the way that I live for engineering and producing now. And so the skill level difference was just insurmountable. And so I just essentially just gave it up cold turkey. And at some point I realized, no, you can have fun, you know, playing, you know, whether it's, you know, I play soccer a lot, and I'm not going to be a professional, but I can go out there and kick the ball around, right? And for a while it was like all or nothing was my mindset. And that mindset did well for me in the music industry as a whole, but you know, it's maybe hampered some other aspects of life, you know.
And with you saying that engineering and producing is like your lane of excellence, I know you do some music directing with short films, and you do like certain things with audiobooks. So where do you find yourself most at home? Is it just in the studio, or is it when you branching out and doing your thing?
I'm most home in this room that we're in right here. So when Wally reached out to do this interview, I know you guys usually do it at your guys' place, but I was like, you know, please come by, you know, see Coda Room. It's my humble little home. As you can see, it's not huge, but it's exactly what I needed for many years. It's where I did all my mixing and mastering and overdubs. When I needed to do choirs or orchestras or rock bands, and I would rent out third-party studios from all around Chicago or around the country. But yeah, I'm most home in a control room. Absolutely.
Now I'm not gonna get you in trouble and ask you who your favorite artist is, because you work with so many, right? As I'm looking around, I'm still noticing more stuff, even with the Kanye West, who is a legend to us in our city, right? So when these people come to you and they're like, James, because artists, they want what they want. So when they come to you, and how do you even, and everybody speaks a different language, so how long did it take to really understand like what people wanted? Like when they say, "Oh, turn this up," because you know Tupac, he used to smack his engineers out, and I know you probably ain't went through that. But what has been your experience with artists? Because everybody's extra in the industry.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think every artist is a little bit different. You have to deal with the egos, and but I think if you're humble as an engineer or as a producer, then I think at some point that rubs off on others. There's not two alpha males or alphas in general butting heads in any capacity. That doesn't always work, but like that's kind of my go-to is just being super chill about the scenario. I mean, with Kanye back in the day, I used to have dreadlocks, and I used to have very long dreadlocks, and I think that kind of played a big part. Just leaning back in the chair and just always being comfortable with. I mean, but what that comes from is just knowing your craft. And so, as an engineer, specifically in those kind of situations, it was all about the hard work and preparation, and then trying to. Basically predict what may be necessary in the next 10 minutes or the next hour or the next 2 hours, thinking ahead, thinking 10 steps ahead. Because when you are dealing with the higher clientele, and time is money, like, to the most real extent. And so, it may be a lot of downtime, but then when it's go time, you got to be ready. And that's when you're making your money, or you're not going to get called again. And so, I mean, there's egos and there's stressful sessions, but then there's wonderful, beautiful, magical sessions as well. And just like, every job, some people think that this job is perfect. And it's like every job. It's certain days there's good days, certain days there's not great days, but there's absolutely nothing else that I'd rather do.
So let's just talk about this studio a little more. I know Coda Room, you were saying, I know you have a founder. I think his name was Craig.
Oh, Craig Bauer.
Craig Bauer.
Yeah. So when I worked at Hinge Studios, which used to be on Ohio Street, he's my original mentor. I started off as an intern right after audio school. I went to Full Sail University. He hired me on, and I kind of worked my way up. He worked on a lot of those big Kanye, Lupe records. He actually just mixed Lupe's new record. He lives out in Denver now, but I still talk to him quite often. We have a good relationship.
And then I know you have a daughter, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, I know some of your expertise rubbed off on her, because why wouldn't it? So how does she play a part in what you do?
My daughter, Mila Marley Allwater, she's amazing. That Grammy certificate back there for PJ Morton. So the studio got one, I got one, Brandon Aranza got one for assisting it here, and my daughter, Mila Marley Allwater, got one for assisting me over in London. So she's 13 and she got her first Grammy certificate.
Now, how many of us can say that? When I was 13, I don't even remember what I was doing. Getting in some trouble, I'm sure, right? So with all of this that comes with your studio, James, because I don't want to mess up your last name, all right? You gave me an easy way to say it, but I'm going to keep calling you Studio James. With everything that you have going on, where do you see yourself in 10 years? Because sometimes we accomplish so much that we get comfortable, we get content. But where do you see yourself in 10 years?
I don't know, but I can definitely relate to everything that was in that question. I feel in hindsight that was a lot of what I did after some of this success was kind of take it easy, and some of that was from a life perspective. I think the absolute right thing to do. I mean, that was right when my daughter was born, so I got to be a present, good father. But getting to slowly build my business. This is the Coda Room here on Chicago Avenue is my first commercial facility, and so that was a long time goal, and eventually I met it and turned it into my baby, and I passed it on to my colleagues here. One of the definitive goals while I'm in London is to open up a similar facility. Obviously, I'm still working and delivering high quality results over there, but I haven't yet. In pandemic, obviously hampered a lot of plans. But one of the main things is to open up a facility much like this. I mean, if I could have actually with Castle here, I remember one of the days he was here right before I moved. The idea was to measure like the walls, like the height, and if you look, you can see that it's different from there to there because the acoustics, and so it's like it's not a box. It's so it's quite different. So and I had to measure all the acoustic panels. So if I want to, I can make the exact room in London because I love the way this room sounds. We measured the desk, where the speakers are from each other, everything, so I can make it sound exactly the same when I'm in London. So that's definitely a goal. But having just moved to London wasn't an easy task, and that was a lifelong dream, was just to move abroad and to see more of the world. My daughter lives there with me, so I get to show her more of the world at an early age, and there's the life work balance scenario that I'm confidently in a good place with that. I've kind of balanced it quite well. So yeah, I mean, I'm lucky overall. I don't know all of my goals for 10 years. Sure, it'd be nice to win another Grammy, but I'm just happy to be working every day and generally working with music that I genuinely enjoy.
I think 10 years from now, we are definitely going to see you with some more Grammys. If not that, just some more nominations because of how great you are. You're right. Speak it. Exactly. And there you have it. It's so much exclusive things going on right now on Urban Grind TV. So we talked about a lot today, James. So I want to know, you pretty much kind of told me what was next and what's coming up. But I do want to know, just as far as with your colleagues, and I know you told me that this young man right here, I don't know if you guys can see him on the camera, but we got 3 geniuses sitting, I'm assuming, on the right of James. And you're an awesome teacher. Right, I read that you teach as well. So, what about like a school? Like, you ever thought about just opening up, like, just kind of opening up, even if it's a small school and you select the students? We can do anything. We are literally living in the future, especially with everything being virtual and technology. So, do you see that in the future?
You've given me a great idea.
I want 20%. No,
you can have 25%. Yeah, it's yours. No, I honestly hadn't thought about it. But a colleague of mine did that recently, and he's doing it all online. I'm one of the featured one-on-one industry mentors or something they can hire, an hour with me kind of scenario. So yeah, I mean, I've seen colleagues kind of branch out and do that. It hasn't immediately interested me, but you're right. I mean, it could be something that makes sense down the line.
And there you have it, guys. We have James Auwarter, a.k.a. Studio James. Tell them where they can find you, James, even if it's just your studio page or wherever that they can find you, because I hear so many records as I listen to music every day, and I don't know why artists feel like they don't have to get their stuff mixed, especially when they're sending it out to people of your caliber or anybody like that. So even before we go, let artists know, because so many artists watch this show, how important is a mix, even when they're sending records,
It's not something to skimp on, right? Like a lot of people think that that's one of the corners you can cut, and for better or worse, it's kind of become that more and more as a norm within our industry, especially within hip hop specifically, but in all genres. But you've got to get it mixed right. You've got to get it mastered right. Ideally, it's recorded right in the first place. It's produced right. It's written to a high caliber. But yeah, absolutely. Feel free to hit up Coda Room Audio. It's at Coda Room Audio on Instagram. That's the best way to get a hold of us. My email is james@codaroomadio.com. I'm in Chicago now from London, but obviously I work remotely from there. We got Mike Parks, who hopefully you guys will get to see and maybe speak to real quick. We got Mike Parks, Brandon Aranza, and Christian Castillo. Castle over here. Castle is killing it here locally. He's the main guy here. He's doing a lot of work with Sydney August, who's on Lil Durk's OTF label, and so that's his first big major credit. And we were talking yesterday about making sure he gets himself a platinum record for the deluxe record that came out recently that he was a part of. So OTF's booking out 2 days a week over here, and it's a very vibed out, very good sounding space, and I hope people will continue to let us help them sound better. Amazing.
And just before we go, tell them who you kicking it with today.
Treaur Necole, UrbanGrindTV.
That part. Urban Grind family. So we thank you for kicking it with us today, James, and we hope to see you again in the future. My name is Treaur Necole. This is Urban Grind TV, and we out.
This is James Auwarter, a.k.a. Studio James. I'm at Coda Room Audio, and you're watching Urban Grind TV.
What's up, Urban Grind TV? I'm Brandon from Coda Room Audio. I'm an audio engineer and producer here. You can find us at Coda Room Audio, or you can find me at Brandon Aranza, Aranza. If you want to come, make your stuff sound good.
What's up, Urban Grind TV? This is Christian Castillo. You can find me at Coda Room Audio. Let's record your next hit.
What's up, Urban Grind TV? This is Mikey Rocks at Coda Room Audio. You can find me at Mikey Rocks TV on Instagram. I'm the bookings manager and producer here at Coda Room Audio.